Everybody is asking, how do I retain? How do I keep these clients? And it's interesting that you say don't cut corners, knowing what you had shared with me earlier, that you on average used to have to train people from 6 to 8 weeks, and now you can do it in 5 days.
Becoming a master is not about doing 4,000 things. It's about doing 12 things 4,000 times.
The Ultimate Sales Machine presents the CEO Mastery Show for entrepreneurs looking to grow faster, better, smarter. If you would like to have a profound breakthrough in your business, talk to our team live by visiting chetholmes.com/breakthrough. Good advice is contextual. Get your answers at chetholmes.com/breakthrough.
Welcome, everybody. Amanda Holmes here, CEO of Chet Holmes International. And today I have the world's leading expert on micro-learning, having conducted 112 million sessions. Is that correct?
Right at 112 million sessions.
Oh, that is fantastic. We're going to cover today how to retain, train, hire top talent from somebody that trains. Your company trains nearly 400,000 employees a month.
Yes, right at 400,000, just under 400,000 right now. But at the rate of growth that we have, it won't be long till we're over 400,000. So.
Woo! And having been in business since 1999, it's such a thrill to see your expertise in technology and how you've been able to utilize internet and really understand how people retain information and absorb information. And in your particular line of work, it's saved, you had just shared with me, right around 8,000 lives.
We think 8 to 10,000 lives by now. We do that actuarially based on the number of classes delivered, the accident reduction rate, the number of fatalities for accident. We started our company in the transportation industry, and so therefore there's a lot of liability. There's a lot of danger. You got 80,000 pounds running down the road, and you got to make sure that the folks driving those trucks are safe and the people around them are safe. So it's a big mission, but we're up to the task.
And I loved what you were just sharing with me right before we went live about how I was asking if you had an award and you said no, but our clients get awards. Can you share with that one story? I just love it.
Yeah, our clients do get awards. We deal in transportation. We started out with 18-wheelers, big trucks. We've gone to medium-sized and smaller vehicles, but we've also done the school bus industry as well. And one of the most touching stories that we have is a school bus driver won an award in the state of Georgia because he had taken our training and he had just happened to have an accident a few weeks later. School bus caught on fire and all the kids were able to evacuate safely and no one lost their life. And if you've ever seen a school bus catch on fire, it is dramatic. It's fast. You don't have much time to evacuate. So Our clients win the awards and we're really proud of our clients for that.
Absolutely. And what a gem to be able to have you on today to talk about one of the biggest issues facing businesses today, which is, this great resignation we're experiencing, hiring staff. Can you share with us? I know you have some data around this as well.
Yeah, we do. It's when we started looking at how many people that are leaving their workforce right now, it's just incredible. And when I start talking to business owners, their number one concern, we polled our client base, and the number 1, 2, and 3 concern in our client base, number one shared, it doesn't matter which industry you're in, and it is how do you hire and retain and train your employees? And that's their number one concern right now. And number 2 in my industry is fuel prices are going up. Number 3 is insurance prices are going up. And our training has an impact on all 3 of those. But we cut our teeth in recruiting originally. We were some of the great grandparents, I guess you could say, in the internet industry. We started with a web-based recruiting platform, and we rose to number 1 in the transportation industry with that platform. And then we realized real quick that we wanted to cross-sell, so we put in training to go along with that. So we've kind of backed our way into this whole great resignation with our company. We know how to recruit, and we know how to retain and how to build a culture. As a matter of fact, I can sit here right now and our client service department, we have extra help in the client service department where everybody else is struggling to try to keep people. So, the good news is if you learn how to recruit properly and you learn how to retrain them and build that culture, and no one likes the big C word for culture, but it's true. If you have the right culture, you will retain your employees, and your employees will be the ones that go out and start promoting your own business for you. But these people that try to cut corners and take shortcuts, it's not going to work out for them. So remember, we have a webinar coming up next Tuesday just for a specific niche industry about recruiting, and it's just going to talk about the basics of recruiting. So in fact, I'm going to incorporate your core story into it, Amanda, because the core story that every client out there that's trying to recruit, what are they offering? They're offering a job. That's all they're offering. They're not offering anything else. Everybody's offering a job. Wake up world. Guess what? You better offer more. You ought to go take, the core story boot camp to figure out, what are you offering your employees? What advantage does your company have? We have Friday morning meetings. Every Friday morning at 8:15, we have floor meeting for the entire company. We Zoom them in, and we have the people that are at the home office, and we talk about the wins for the week. And we try to make sure that every employee leaves with some type of some information that will improve their lives going forward. So I don't know if this is the path you want to go down on the
No,
process.
it's great because, everybody is asking, how do I retain? How do I keep these clients? And it's interesting that you say, don't cut corners, knowing what you had shared with me earlier, that you on average used to have to train people from 6 to 8 weeks, and now you can do it in 5 days. So don't cut corners, and yet you're still highly efficient. So yes, please share. When you're looking for talent, what's some of the gems that people need to start recognizing to just bring in great talent?
Well, there's a great book called Who that we use when we hire people. We check the references, and I will tell anybody out there, if you don't check at least 8 references, you're not doing it right. And
8.
people look at me and they think I'm crazy, but I follow that book verbatim, the Who book, and it works out, even if you're going to use a vendor to come work on your home. But let's go back to when we onboard people at our own company.
Yeah.
We claim that we can cut your learning curve way down with our micro learning. In other words, we actually did it in-house. It took us 6 to 8 weeks. We're very complex with a SaaS service, software as a service. We have to train our people how to use the software and how to go out and service our clients. And it takes 6 to 8 weeks. Well, we started looking at our own system and said, how can we cut this learning curve down? And we did. And it's taken us about a year, but we cut it down to 5 days from onboarding a new client service rep to them actually being on the phone and having meaningful conversations with our prospects and clients.
Wow.
Big step in the right direction doing that.
Absolutely.
And we've seen that happen over and over again. But we take the concept of micro learning to the next level. Now, you're too young to have a 15-year-old, but those in your audience that have teenagers understand this. Let's take the standard rule of training that most companies use and compare it to micro learning. The standard rule is that we're going to come in once a quarter, and imagine you have a 15-year-old, and you're going to tell that 15-year-old, this year we're going to do it differently. Once a quarter, I'm going to meet with you and tell you that you're going to make your bed, you're going to brush your teeth, you're going to take out the trash, and I'm going to check with you each quarter as we have a reminder. And how's that going to work? Versus every single week, we're going to send out a micro reminder training education session that says, hey, look at the benefit of brushing your teeth. Look at the benefit and a reminder of taking the trash out. Look at the benefit of making your bed every day. Now, I ask you this question. At the end of the year, who's going to have more success? The parent or employer or team member that trained 4 times this year, educated, reminded 4 times this year, or the one that did it every single week? And that's so in 15 minutes a month, you can absolutely educate your employees to go do the right thing and correct them. And you know that you've educated them and you've documented it, and you now have that for the records. And you're going to have lasting change when you do that. It's a much different approach than what we have in the past, where we go bore people for 30 minutes or an hour at a time every quarter, half-day meeting, and it's a different approach, but it works much more, and the employees like it. They don't spend all their time sitting in some boring room. And then you start looking at the efficiencies that are created by it, and it's just incredible to look at the efficiencies. But your team and your people have helped me put together our core story in our Dream 100 And we're seeing some dramatic results. We've built our pipeline by over $900,000. We've nailed the 8 companies that we haven't closed them, but we've identified the 8 companies that could make us anywhere from 10x each, and a couple of them could take us to 100x. And we're not a small company, so when I say 10x to 100x, yeah, that's a big number. So
I love that. Well, thank you for that. I appreciate the shout out. So let's tie back in, because this is so fascinating, and it was part of your process with your core story, right? We identified what you're doing. Were you using the word micro learning before you started?
we were using frequent and consistent, and we had stumbled on the word micro learning, but you're the one that really pointed out to me. You really are. I would give anything to be your age and start over with your knowledge. You're the one that pointed out the micro learning that we had. And you said, wait, Jay, time out, take a step back. Do you realize what you're doing? And it took me, I'm kind of a slow burn. It took me a while to realize what you had said. I woke up one night about 3 weeks ago and said, by God, that's what Amanda was talking about. It dawned on me. So my hat's off to your entire team and the way you guys think and the way y'all look at the world. It's fascinating.
Well, to me, I have woken up mid-sleep going, that micro learning, how can I work with Jay? This is so brilliant, right? Because we know the attention span has dropped in half of what it was 10 years ago, right? The equivalent of a goldfish. We're at 3 seconds now. So why wouldn't we train in 5-minute increments? And the fact that you've done it in an industry like trucking, where truck drivers have they really just don't have a strong need or desire to really want to train, right? Like it's kind of like you have to do this, I guess that's okay. Versus maybe somebody that's like my clientele are CEOs that are hungry to generate more sales. So they are ready. They want to learn. They're like you just have a fever for knowledge. Whereas I don't know how much a truck driver would really be interested in that. So you, based out of necessity, created a new way to consume information, to retain the information, and to actually get the results, which for you becomes saving people's lives, right? Which is magnificent. And I can't help but continue to think about this, because your potential in every other industry to take what you've proven in trucking and incorporate it. That's why I'm so thrilled that I get to interview you for my database, because people need to know that there's this amazing way to train. Can we break down even more of this micro learning? Because I'm so curious how you would even start.
It's interesting you asked that question. There are a couple of things that come to mind. One of them is that the truck drivers, you have to understand, they do the same thing day in and day out. They wake up, they go do a pre-trip inspection, they get in the vehicle, they have to be safe, they have to make sure everything's working around. And when you come in and say, we're going to help you be safer, they want to be safe already, but it's kind of like been there, done that. So you got to make sure it's just a reminder. It's a simple reminder. It's like anything we do in life. There's hardly anything that's brand new or complicated that we don't just try to complicate it ourselves. So we try to make it as simple as we possibly can, keep it simple, and just keep the reminders in top of mind, because if you're top of mind on safety, it's going to work out much better that way. And I feel like I'm rambling right now, but
no, it's fascinating. So that
let me go down one more path real quick. I read a book a long time ago called The Talent Code. And then I've listened to one of, I know you're a fan, and your partner or did partner with Tony Robbins in the past, but they tell stories about chunking. And in the book, The Talent Code, they talk about your brain and how it connects if you do small increments at a time, and you can learn much faster if you take small increments and you master the small increment, and then take the second segment of the small increment or chunk and plug that into place. And then you take the third and the fourth and the fifth, and pretty soon you've mastered everything. And they talk about the great tennis players and the great, anyways, it's the concept that we use with micro learning. What really matters the most, and let's just take small snippets and apply it. And what happens is when you do that, it's almost like the Tim Ferriss rule, 80-20 rule, where you say, okay, let's do 20% of the work to get 80% of the results. And so that's the way we've approached it from the micro strategy and micro learning standpoint. I shouldn't say micro strategy, because that denotes the the Bitcoin guy running around right now, but
the micro meta strategy. No.
there we go.
Yeah. No, I love that. Okay, so that helps me get a little bit more clarity that what are the most important things that I need to do or get somebody trained in my team. And then I could also see how this then links with retention, right? Because those that are trained best and really know what they're doing in their job and they're getting results and they feel that they're improving or, at least meeting some kind of criteria for a good work ethic, you're accomplishing that with this micro learning.
So if I break it down, there was an old sales book written one time, and it was the Dale Carnegie sales course, and it's a guy named Percy Whiting, and he wrote a book called The 5 Great Rules of Selling. And I fell in love with that book. I mean, it was so basic, but it says 5 things. You have to get their attention, you have to get their interest, got to get conviction, desire, and close. So attention, interest, conviction, desire, and close. So if I was going to break that entire book of 300 or 400 pages down into a short course, I could probably do it in less than an hour and break it into, well, what are the ways that you get attention? And I could put together 4 or 5 or 6 short videos on how do you get attention and give examples. And then the assignment might be, can you think of ways you would get attention? Go back to the old Fuller Brush salesperson. But I could break that down into less than 20 minutes, 30 minutes of curriculum. But it has them thinking about it constantly. And, attention, interest, I could do the same thing with interest, conviction, desire, and then close. I could do the same thing with your core story boot camp where you said, okay, we spent 8 beautiful, wonderful hours plus homework and assignment getting completely baptized. I use that term in East Texas, getting totally baptized in your methodology. But if I want to train my people to do it, I'm not going to go spend 8 hours with them. What I'm going to do is take the concepts of the core story and say, here's a stadium pitch. Here's why a stadium pitch is incredible. You're trying to get 90% of the market at the top of the funnel. I'm going to go down the funnel, but I'm going to do it in snippets of 3 and 4 minutes and make assignments so that I can do the entire 8 hours over a 1 hour period. Now, will they be as good as spending 8 hours with you? No, they won't be, but they'll have at least 80% of it top of mind. And if I remind them of it over and over again, guess what most companies don't do? What they don't do is remind their employees that this is the process, this is procedure, this is our value chain, and pretty soon you start to wake up and wonder, wait, we were doing that education-based marketing and we were using Amanda's core story concept, and why did we get away from it? Because it was working. So micro-learning is top of mind, more efficiency. We're looking for the 80-20 rule in our training concepts.
Wow. So the actual delivery of micro content, can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, we developed our own LMS system, learning management system, and they're a dime a dozen. I mean, you can go get one off the shelf. I think there's open source that you can go find that. So that's not the critical mass here. Critical mass is how do you use it and how do you apply it? And I didn't mean to do this today, and I can't stand up and turn around, but we have this saying that said, if it's not in writing, it's not signed, if it's not dated, if you can't find it, it didn't happen. And it's on the back of my t-shirt, it's on posters we send out to people. And we use that. Matter of fact, we use that as one of the Dream 100s. We went out, we did a test. That's an interesting test. We sent out 30 of them as a test to see what kind of results we had. And we got a 10-to-1 return on our expense of doing that. Then we sent out 1,868 of them, and we optimized it, and we got another 7x return on that one. And on June the 6th, we're dropping we're up in the ante from 1,800 to 7,000 to see what happens when we do that. So that's kind of old, red ocean marketing, but
yeah. You were talking about the delivery of micro learning. So you can go and get LMS off the shelf, but critical mass is
breaking down the curriculum and knowing how do you want to deliver this. And we generally do it with video. We do it with we create our own videos. We have our own studio that does that. And we teach our clients how to do that, because custom content for your company and for what you want to do is it's very easy to do. I mean, we overcomplicate things. this is as good a camera as we had when I was taking films of my kids at your age growing up around the Christmas tree. So, this one thing alone saved a lot of learning curve on that. But the main thing is to break out the curriculum, create a short script. I always storyboard everything. I like the concept of storyboarding. I like to see the stick. I can't draw, so I do stick figures and do the video that way. And we do a lot of talking head stuff. We can actually do documents, PDF files, where you place a document or PDF file up, or companies that we deal with, like in the golf industry, and they have maintenance on golf courses that they have to do and have to be safe doing that and be more efficient. And we can use the actual companies that created the equipment, their training videos. And as long as we have permission, or if you have your own LMS, you have permission to put it up on your system, use those things. But we'll edit those or get permission to edit them to break them apart and not be a 35-minute training course. So,
fascinating.
Does that answer your question? Does that help?
Yeah. So you actually created a lot of the time SMS delivery is what I don't think you just said that, but I do know that you recommend it actually being texted. Is that part of your LMS that a part of your tool that?
Part of our tool is to make sure that it's documented. Like it's what we do is we do training, documentation, and communication. And the way we started this division was on a whim, by the way. I knew I wanted something to cross sell, and I sold my first company just when we didn't even have software, didn't have anything. But what sold the individual, the owner of the company, was you have 1,000 employees. If you could talk to every one of your employees right now and know that they heard your message, what would you say? Yes. And it was, I mean, you're in sales. He leaned forward on his desk and he did this and he said, I would do this. And as soon as he said that, I said, okay, this afternoon, I'm going to have this was back years ago. And I said, I'm going to have my camera crew here this afternoon. They're going to film you saying that. You say it just like you did just now. And by tomorrow at noon, you will know how many of your employees heard your message. And it'll be documented. You can put it in their file. And I can tell you one right now, Amanda, that every company out there needs to be aware of, because we're obviously, if you're a hammer, everything you see is a nail. If you have employees that are driving around in their own car or in your company vehicle and they're on your time, you need to have in your file that you have told them, do not, under any circumstance, use your cell phone when you're operating a vehicle.
Wow.
Because the liability is horrific.
Wow.
And it is starting to turn. So I mean, that's the first thing. And then your employee manual, you put that on the system. Then you highlight your employee manual based on what is it that you really need to make sure the new employees understand. And it could be the benefits package, it could be the vacation package, it could be, but standard MO. We go out, we get this employee package, we sign up with a new company, and what does the HR department do? They go hand it to the employee. What does the employee do? They take that whole document, they sign that they read it, and they throw it in the back of their vehicle, and they don't see it until they clean their truck out a week or 2 or 3 later, and they throw it away. And they don't understand anything about your company. They don't understand anything about your culture. And so you've wasted a real opportunity to onboard properly. So anyway, I feel like I'm rattling, but I love what we do. And
I love all of this. I find it so fascinating. I didn't even know about the cell phone, and I'm sure every company that has even sales reps out in the field driving around should know that. I mean, I don't even know how. You just have to let them know that they shouldn't do this. There's no way to actually monitor that, right?
You need to, that's correct. But you need to make sure here, the courts have gotten so litigious, or the society has, that, well, Coca-Cola Enterprise in Corpus Christi, Texas, I believe. You know what, I better let people research this since this is going live in the world, but one of the major bottlers in Corpus Christi had a $21 million settlement or a lawsuit because they didn't properly document that we told our employee not to do this driving in the road. And in the state of Texas right now, which is where we're domiciled, in the state of Texas right now, the the lawyers are not just going after big trucks, they're going after anybody that has their name on the side of a vehicle or anyone that's at risk with this. And you're hearing things like nuclear verdicts. So one of our deals is we've thought about taking out ads on XM radio and offering to give away free to any company out there, this service of give it to them free, come on board, and you can have your documented that you've told your employees at least don't be using a cell phone driving down the road, and don't be using a cell phone on company time while you're in a vehicle. So not even a text. So.
Wow. Fascinating. Yeah. I mean, you would be the expert on this, right? Considering that you try to, you're a huge part of saving so many organizations from these nuclear verdicts, which has gone completely out of the roof. Do you know that those stats off the top of your head? They're
the stats, y'all pulled the stats for us. Y'all did a core story. We took the class, but y'all also did one. We contracted with y'all on the side to do the core story of the 7 threats facing our industry, and that worked out really well for us as well. But the stats that your researcher came up with was the nuclear verdicts. A nuclear verdict is anything over 10 million, and it's supposed to be for punitive damages and things of that nature. And they're up 687 or 8% in the last 7 years, and the ones that are 10 million or more have jumped 289% in the same time period. So it's a real issue. I mean, and companies out there that don't even think, like your local plumbers or your local electricians that have vehicles running around, the liability is horrific, and they just don't realize it. So, wow.
And where can everybody find you? What's the right URL to give them?
Our URL is infinityworkforce.com. Infinity spelled INFI not with a Y, but with an I. Infinity Workforce. And that's where they can locate us. Or, I don't mind giving out my cell phone number. If anybody wants to call and ask questions, be glad to do that too. But
do you give out your cell phone number?
Amanda, when I started in business, service has always been our big deal. If you ask me what's our X factor, it's micro learning and it's service. And most companies don't offer service nowadays. We do. I gave every client my cell phone number and said 24/7, if you need me, call me. And I've only gotten one call at 2 a.m. in the morning, but I answered it, because that's just the nature of the business. So anyway, 903-244-2192. And if anybody wants to reach me, I'll be glad. Text first, and that's the easiest way to get me, and I'll respond. No big deal.
That is amazing. I wonder if it's also, I come across a lot of problems being a female and strange people that are out there in the world. So
I can see that. Well, I don't. Yeah, we're in Texas. I don't have my Texas accoutrements with me right here, but I do in the car. So yeah. So, but we're a nice company. We got about 60 plus employees, and we've got we use overseas people as well, fulfill some of the needs, and we're growing. And thanks to your work and what your company has done for us, I think we'll be doubling at least in the next couple of years, and if not, shooting for that 3x to 5x. So
I can't wait to watch that journey. It's been so fun to see as it is, and that pipeline. You'll have to let me know as soon as they close, because when we did the stats on the Core Story Bootcamp, I don't know if you're familiar, but courses normally get about a 4% completion rate. Did you know this?
I did not know that, but that makes sense. Ours is much higher than that.
Yeah, I would assume that you should take note of that so you can let people know. So when I found that out, it actually made me just completely question my whole course business. So I recognized that when we did the Dream 100 course last year, that there just wasn't as much response from the results that they got. And it was rather frustrating for me, because my success is based on your success, right? So we did the bootcamp formula where it's more interactive, as you experienced. And with the Core Story Bootcamp, we had 42% of the people that went through it generated leads within the first 30 days, and 30% generated sales within the first 30 days, which is, we're tracking results, whereas they were just tracking completion of the freaking course, right? So we're getting a 10x response compared to the industry standard. And that's just in the first 30 days, right? Like you have a much longer sales cycle, and a lot of our clients have a longer sales cycle. So I just can't wait to watch as all of the results start coming in. Thank you so much for such a wonderful, Any last thing you would share, because we still have our tickets open for our Core Story Bootcamp, anything you'd share with people that might consider that?
I have my entire marketing team going down the path of the core story. We spent 3 hours, and you know what time is worth. We spent 3 hours this morning with 5 of us in the room, 5 C-levels in the room, talking about the core story for each segment of the insurance industry that we're going after. Not just the underwriters, but underwriters, risk managers, agencies, and agents. And we put that together. But I'll tell you a real quick wrap-up story why people should attend your core story. We put together a core story. I went to a trade show and I was able to go speak against other presenters. We only had 6 minutes. So I was able to boil it down to a 6-minute presentation. And as you know, the core story, when you have a full presentation, is around 18 to 25 minutes.
Yeah.
I boiled it down to 6 minutes. And there were 8 vendors that were making presentations. And when I finished that afternoon, I heard our stats quoted back in other meetings from the other attendees. Now, that is you keep talking about the core story and education, marketing, and giving the stats, and then when you just got through saying that about a 4% completion rate, I immediately wrote it down, circled it. I'm gonna find the data on that, because that really leads right into the micro training.
Yeah.
With ours, we're actually running an offer right now just as a test to take the risk off the table. We know that what we do is so effective that we're offering 100% money back guarantee. That if you use the system for a year and you have a 70% usage ratio, we'll gladly give you a 100% money back guarantee, and completely understand that's not a big deal for us at all. Not a big deal at all.
Wow.
That's how impactful the stuff is. So,
and you had also shared with me, I think on another call, that one speaking engagement you got, it looked like you had another 80,000 in your pipeline just from that one talk, which was magnificent.
Well, and that was, the matter of fact, I was actually at that show.
Yeah.
And that was the one I was talking about, the 6-minute one. So that's where that came from. And it's a fascinating program, the Core Story Bootcamp. Yes. And I would recommend it to anybody. And I just wouldn't. I mean, you're a godsend for a lot of us that are listening to you.
Thank you. Well, your micro learning keeps me up at night, and we're going to find a way to work together, because I can't get enough of it. There's some synergy there with Core Story and micro learning. So for those that are listening, stay tuned. It will happen, but go to Infinity Workforce with an I.com.
Infinity with an I, not Y, Infinity. So
Infinity with an I, workforce.com, to learn more about Jay and his brilliance and what you've been able to do. Thank you so much, Jay. This has been such an utter pleasure.
Thank you, Amanda. I appreciate you more than you know.
Subscribe for more videos. Claim your free Chapter 4 of The Ultimate Sales Machine. This chapter helps you get 9 times more impact from every move you make. Visit ultimatesalesmachine.com. This has been the CEO Mastery Podcast, brought to you by The Ultimate Sales Machine.